All right, y'all, Rob Anderson, Delmarva Christmas Lights, and we light stuff up. This video is going to be about how to do takedowns, properly labeling them, where everything's going. This is a particular install. I'll give you an example of that we did. Now, right here, you can see my cursor. This is where power was started. In all likelihood, X wire should be run up here. Ran a section there, there, going up that, and then coming down this way. Now I can't really see. It looks like there's probably a 1 foot depth difference there, or it could just be a little slight bump out. From an install situation, right here makes sense. We'd have a line going that way, then a line coming up and down. And then unfortunately here, you'd end up with, you need to do an X wire down here, and then continue up, go down there, X wire to that, continue on here, and ideally go that way, and then you'd have an inline female, and then go this way. So that's what we're going to assume was done on this. So for a takedown situation, first of all, we're going to start with our X wire labeled in white. This is where your male is. That's where it begins. Okay. And I'm going to go all the way actually up to the top because this should be one solid X wire. Now, it probably comes down here and then goes up, or could have even gone, all the way to this corner, then gone up, and it could be like this. But again, we're not on that site, so right now we want to go ahead and just basically, so we're going to do this. So I'm going to do a red line. So again, right here, this means that this is where it starts, this is where it ends, which means that this is where there would be a male inline or male plug, and then an inline female at the end. Okay, so let's get the next section. We'll do blue here. Now, this is a light blue. The actual zip ties may be different. Now, for marking this up, we don't need to make a small line coming up here and then another one. We can do that, and you know what? We'll go ahead and do it anyways. Copy that. And go like that. Okay. So what this is saying, now this does not mean that we have 3 sections of C9. This is one long section. There could be with the scraps and stuff that we put together sometimes. There could be a plug in here, but ultimately this is one continual section. So this is the blue cord. On the male plug, we would have a blue wire around the male plug. And this one we would have had a red zip tie around the male plug. We wouldn't bother with anything on the female because it doesn't go to anything else. So on here, should have another line that's going to be, let's copy that, change it to white. Now all the X wire is white. We can make this a different color. This is we've got a decent number of sections, but you can easily color code this. On this end, I would want to put since it's the X wire, so we would have a blue cord on that for the male that's plugging into it. And then down here, this next line, let's go ahead and change here. Let's go with green. Change that to green. So this X wire here, you're going to have a green one on the female at the end of this, a green on the male end of this C9 section. Come down here. Oh, sorry. So another arrow. And then for this one, we'll go yellow. Okay. Again, this does not need to perfectly follow. This isn't where we're doing this for the client. We're doing this for ourselves to make reinstalls easier. Again, ideally, this is how that goes. And then last but not least, we should have this section. It's not going to be yellow. I'll make that one purple. Does not matter that it's covering this arc or not. So there would be an inline female right here on yellow that we would want to wrap a purple zip tie around. That way we know that right here is where we're putting this purple line. Okay. That's pretty much it as far as this install. So this would be a good takedown sheet. On the computer, we can add 2021 takedown. Put that up there, no matter what color it is. Now, this doesn't mean that next year that this install is going to match this perfectly. They could make changes to it. They could add a couple wreaths. Oh, and right there, yep, that wreath. There's probably just a tiny little X wire that connects to it. This should be something where we can mark the inline female and the little X wire. I would go ahead and leave the X wire connected to it. The other thing too on these would be to take a zip tie around the peak bulb, ideally green or black, because it's not going to show up as much around the actual base of the socket. That way, when we go to the reinstall, we can go up here, grab our center bulb, our peak bulb, put it right in place, and then slide back down there, do those ones, put those ones back on, etc. That's pretty much it on this one. There wasn't any other X wire there. So we've got that one. And so we'll do this one. This is one that I did. So I know which way we ran everything. So this one, now we've got dormers on here. The dormers are going to be the same. If there is a difference on the dormers, then we need to make sure that they're colored differently and whatnot. So let's start with our power line. So power actually came from right about there and then went up all, well, I'm going to make it 2 lines. Again, on this, I want to be clear that this does not mean that there's 2 sections. It just means that this is where that line is going. It could be 2 sections, but that's where that's going. So now we had a section that went this way to the left. Gotta make that one red. Kind of a burnt orange, but we've got this way. We'll make that one yellow. The nice thing on this, and this is a good example, these 2 dormers are exactly the same. This dormer and that dormer are exactly the same. But these 3 bottom sections are very different in size. I actually believe that we popped a socket off of this. I'm actually going to bring that up here and make this all one. It could have been done a little bit differently to be able to, really needed to be 2 sockets popped off of it. But anyways, this tree out front, and this is where, guys, with the X wire, this one's very basic. Sorry, let's go back to that. Literally just ran that there. And when you're looking at this, this is going to be a longer X wire. It's going all the way to there. We don't have a lot of stuff going on here, so if we want to color code that and make that, we'll make that the green one. Okay. And then on these ones, so that's green. This one's going to be green as well. I connected both of them, and I can even, depending on how many lines we've got going on it, we can also do it like this. And now I'm going to switch over to arrow. Okay. It does not matter on either one of these which one is green, which one, we could change this all to be purple if we want. for this next one over here, make that purple. Okay, we got that one. And let's see, we haven't used blue yet. Now, we can use black zip ties. We're just going to need to make it really clear what we're doing with it. So that goes like that. And then the X wire, what I ended up doing is I actually connected, so this went all the way up there. Actually, sorry. No, I did not do it that way. I went like that. Trying to remember this. So I'm actually going to move this to that side. Like that. So one drawback with when we're doing this with CompanyCam, but for the takedowns and things, it's not always perfectly, you got to click on a bunch of extra things sometimes. So, now what there. Fix that. All right. So again, so on this install, so we've got our X wire coming up. We would put a red plug right there. So that's the red going that way. We'd put a yellow zip tie on the inline female here that continues this all the way across. We would put a purple zip tie on the inline female up here. And then this one have a purple zip tie on the male plug on this coming across there. We'd have, for this one, I'd put actually inline and put green on this inline female because that's where it's going to go. And this X wire, you can leave it connected to it, but you'd put a green on that female up here, so we know that that's going to that. So we do the same thing. Again, if this is a smaller install, if this had a bunch of dormers, had a bunch of other things going on it, we could do them all the same color. This one we did as well because they're exactly the same. But if you decided to, let's just say we wanted to change this and make it orange instead. That's perfectly fine as well. Just depending on colors and shading and stuff, sometimes that can be a little bit more confusing. So that's got everything. And then on here, we would have an inline female, wrap a little blue on it, take our blue X wire, go up here, and then connect that into it. This one, we can literally, for this X wire, can put a sticky note on or wrap it around it, or a piece of tape that says tree. It's going to go out and connect to the tree, and that's it. This one's going to be really simple, and for an install like this, we'll actually only end up saving the X wire separately. You can just put the X wire in a bag. It's an outside wrap. It's all minis. We're going to want to keep them consistent from year to year, but basically just that the wire comes over here and there, and the other wire goes to that tree. That's it. So if we're drawing that, and at this point, since we do have two sections, I'll make that white. We got our two X wires. Other stuff we can add to this, right? Put text on this, 25. You can also do it like this. And 24. But we would want to count that, make sure that's clear on how many are going on each tree. This might have actually been 30. I can look and find that out. But if we went to do a reinstall, we've got this picture. All right, cool. So the X wire comes over here to that tree and that tree. The other one goes straight to that tree. 25 strands outside wrap. You can see it looks really, really nice there. You can see how kind of high we went up on those tree branches. See how that one actually we lit, and then he wanted to add more lights onto it. So I actually swirled around again to increase that density. And the only thing I don't like on here is that one has got a dark spot on it.